we built up these very damaging ideas in society that it's just about, this chocolate bar equates to half an hour on the treadmill. In so many ways, it's just ridiculous. There's so many damaging ideas around our health and in particular our weight. And I think one of the most damaging is when we just look at food and movement in terms of energy, as if that's the only value they hold to us as humans. It's just energy. And it's so much more than that. Let's think about food. Food is so much more than energy. Food is nourishment. It's nourishment for our bodies. It's nourishment for our minds. It can often play the role of nourishment for our hearts. And we need to think about food in those terms. What is it giving us rather than just the number of calories on it? But if we think about movement and exercise as well, I think, again, we built up these very damaging ideas in society that it's just about, this chocolate bar equates to half an hour on the treadmill. In so many ways, it's just ridiculous, right? How have we got to a point where that is the norm, right? I've got a mate who told me that when he was 10 or 11 years old, he's on holiday with his dad. He spends maybe 20, 30 minutes on a treadmill. They're exercising on their holiday together. And his dad says to him at the end, well done, son, you've earned yourself a Mars bar. It may sound really trivial, but what does that do to a 10-year-old kid, an 11-year-old kid? What does it do in your brain? It imprints the idea that, you have now run, maybe punish yourself for 30 minutes. Now you can compensate for that punishment, right, with a chocolate bar. And that then sets up a lifetime of this kind of negative self-talk around food, around movements. And I think this stuff is really, really damaging. Last year, the government, I think, on some advice on, I think it was a scientific study in Leeds, are starting to put calorie labeling on the back of foods, saying, how much it will take to burn off what's in that food. I'm dead against it. I think this ideology that we start to infiltrate into people's minds across society actually is what ends up being really, really problematic. It gets really hard to unpick that later. That's the problem, right? I get, on an individual level, some people may respond to that. I get it, right? I get that different approaches work for different people. But across society, trying to sort of enforce that narrative to everyone, I think that's a massive, massive problem. And actually, I've never found that useful with any of my patients. I really haven't. Movement, I encourage them to move all the time. But I encourage them to move to feel good. It's not about punishment. It's not about burning off their dinner. It's just because, hey, you know what? When I move, I feel better. I've got more energy. I'm more creative. I can solve more problems. I'm more engaged with my kids. That's what we should be focusing on. And actually, when you focus on that stuff, I find you create the short-term, the medium-term, the long-term behavior change. And for those patients who want to lose excess weight, they actually find that it's not that much trouble after all.